I have a 2002 Suzuki Hayabusa. I did an oil change, and after I put everything back together, I noticed it was smoking a little bit more than normal after an oil change. You know how the smoke burns off of the pipes. And then I had a few drips in my garage, so took the fairings back off, realized that I stripped out either the plug or the oil pan is stripped out. So I went up to the Suzuki dealership basically just to buy a new drain plug, and while I was there, talked to them a little bit to see actually what they would recommend, and they recommended changing out the oil pan. That's a $500 job, so we're not going to do that. I could probably order the part off of the internet, do it myself. Part probably, probably around 200 bucks, maybe a little bit less. I'd have to take off the exhaust, and that's a big headache. So what I'm going to do before I go that route, I want to make sure it's drain plug is pan is broken for real, because I'm not going to spend that money unless I have to. Did a little research, and this is what I'm going to go with. Went to AutoZone and I picked up this. It's an oversized drain plug, and so I'm going to put this in and see if this is going to work. And the one that I bought is a little bit longer than the factory one. Here's the factory on the left and the new one's here on the right. I watched another video. I watched a few videos on YouTube, and there's one guy that recommended doing a longer drain plug so that the teeth really bite in. Plus there's excess room. If you look at your bike, let me get under here. Sorry, I'm doing this on an iPhone, so if you can see that, there's all that space between here and kind of where it actually goes up and meets the drain pan. So there's extra room for a longer drain plug under there, so you can get more bite in it. And this drain plug is actually supposed to make grooves in it, so I'm going to do that and see if it's going to work out for me. And after I put that in, I'm going to put some of this medium strength blue. This is a non-bonding, so it's not going to seize it up or anything. This is just to prevent it from vibrating. So after I do all that, I'll post an update, let you guys know how it worked out. Alright, so looks like it worked. I let the bike run for about 10 minutes on and off. Like I said, I let the bike run about 10 minutes on and off, revved up to about 3,000 RPMs. And there's no drips from the drain plug. And my new cardboard that I put down is dry. So no drips from the drain plug, no drips from the oil filter. I put on a K&N oil filter when I did the oil change, and this is the oil that I use, the Castrol 1040W, but that's kind of off subject. So for the oil pan, again, this is what I use. I got this from AutoZone. It's 14 millimeter, 1.5 inch long. The brand is Nita, so it's a Nita plug. It's an oversized plug. I'm not necessarily plugging this brand. but it worked for my bike. So whatever brand you find that's an oversized 14 millimeter, it should work on your Hayabusa. Just double check, take your old oil plug to the store with you to make sure you're getting the right, size as far as millimeter for the plug. And before I put the plug in, I put on this medium strength blue just to make sure that it's going to stay in place. And this is not necessarily a thread locker. It prevents the bolt from moving during while the bike's vibrating, and it can be removed. It's not focusing very well. It can be removed with a hand tool. And this is Permatex blue. Okay, what's important to remember when you're putting this plug in, you want to get down, on your back on the bike. You want to take your time, and when you're putting this plug in, you want to make sure it's seated straight up and down. Make sure it's not angled, and then when you screw it in, make sure you're screwing it straight in. Take your time when you're screwing it in. Screw it straight in. Torque it so that it's in place. Where it's going to be. When you're riding your bike, or at the final installation. After you do that, take it back out. And I did that, so if there's any metal shavings, they'll come out. They won't go up into the engine. And there were a few metal shavings. They ended up being on the magnet. Excuse me. They ended up being on the magnet because this is a magnetic oil plug. That's one of the reasons why I got the longer one also. Can't really see that, but it's a magnetic oil plug. It has a magnet just like the factory oil plug has on it. So take the oil plug back out after you do the first go around. If you put it in the first time, that's when you put your blue Permatex on it, or whatever bonding agent you're going to use. That's when you put that on. Then you put that back in, put the oil plug back in, then put your oil in. Should be good to go. Again, this is my bike. I didn't want to pay the $500 to do the oil pan, or the $200 or whatever the oil pan cost, and then do the install myself unless I had to. I'll ride the bike for a while. If it does start to leak, I'll post another video, let you guys know. But like I said, this is my bike. That's what I decided to do. I'm not a mechanic, but it worked for me. Your bike, you do what you want to do. All right, appreciate it, guys. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments, and I'll get back to you. Take it easy.